welcome everyone. Welcome to another episode of On the Air with Tim and Ken. Ken, as usual, it's great to be back with you.
Tim, great to be back for our year-end episode.
I can't believe it. Year end, another year, a year flying by, and I think we're going to get through this year fine. And I'm looking forward to 2026. We'll get into 2026 at the end of the episode. I just want to thank everybody for watching, viewing. I think Ken, you have a couple of shout outs or a couple of comments you want to make on
Yeah, I
that.
mean, it's we do really appreciate everybody watching. We've been doing it almost a year, and we need to give a special thanks to our production company who has put up with us for a year and has made us look really good. And none of this would have happened without them.
That's right.
You and I would still be talking on the phone. So without him, none of this happened. So we do really appreciate it. And he's agreed to work with us again in 2026 at the same favorable rates
Wow, sign that
we got in
contract quick.
2025. So
Don't let him go to
no
the transfer.
tariffs,
No transfer
no
portal.
tariffs. Yep.
Great. All right. I have one shout out tonight, and then I'll do the infamous disclaimer. We have a viewer. He's from North Attleboro, Massachusetts. His name is Neil. I spoke to his wife earlier tonight, and today is his birthday. So happy birthday to Neil, and thanks for watching. We appreciate it. All right. Disclaimer. All right. So disclaimer, we always talk about that. But for tonight, a little bit more serious. I'm going to do a little bit of a story on Damian Wilson. He's involved in a lawsuit with the University of Georgia. It has to go through the transfer portal issue. So anything on that I say, it's all alleged. I don't have the pleadings. I'm not on the inner circle on that. So particularly on things like that, I don't have all the facts. I'm just getting what I can gather. So I just want to disclose that and disclaim that. And again, just take this for what it is. We're just here to have fun.
We've had a lot of fun doing this. We hope you've enjoyed it. So, but we're not professionals. We're just here
No.
talking about issues that we find interesting to us.
Yeah. So we're gonna get through about 5 or 10 what we call quick hits, just to keep it moving along. That way we vary up the topics a little bit, but we do think they're all timely. I want to start off with NBA tanking. We've talked about this in some previous episodes a little bit, but I think I want to have you get us up to speed on what's going on with NBA and NBA tanking.
So we first covered this in podcast 19 back on October 19th when the Brooklyn Net owner came out and said that they pretty much were playing the year for a draft pick. We've kind of covered it every episode since then, tracking the Brooklyn Nets and the bottom six teams. And there was an article first started on ESPN back on December 23rd that the ESPN is going to the NBA is going to look into the issue of tanking and is there a better way of holding teams accountable for the draft without, not allowing them to rebuild. So at least they're acknowledging that there's still an ongoing issue. So we'll be interested to see what the NBA comes up with. Our Christmas gift to the bottom seven teams is we're not going to mention the records right now.
Yeah.
So, we'll give them a pass until 2026 and see if they rebound.
See if they can pick it up a little bit. All right. Speaking about Christmas, what happened between the NBA and the NFL on Christmas Day? If you had streaming or not streaming, you might have seen some of this.
Well, you needed Netflix and Amazon to watch NFL games on Christmas Day.
Yeah.
Christmas Day has always been known as the NBA Day. It sounds like there was, quite a few people at the NBA that were, not really happy that the NFL infringed on their day.
Yeah.
I think there was an article, comments by Charles Barkley and some others. But, there's so much money out there that each league is trying to get what they can get. And the NFL is no exception. We've been talking about the NFL playing those games on Christmas Day since early on. And I think they had some viewing issues on Netflix in the Detroit game where there was some streaming issues, but
well,
it always get chased the money.
Yeah, it wasn't the first time they've gone head to head like that. It won't be the last. I think what happened was the matchups, the NFL matchups were not that great, so that worked to the benefit of the NBA. But the NBA knows that kind of the NFL is really muscling in on what they thought would be their big day during the regular season that they've always had kind of a hold on. But all's fair in love and war. Like you said, they're going the NFL and anybody they're going for the big dollars, and they have every right to. So we'll see what happens going forward. But like you said, Charles Barkley was not happy about that, and he made it known. So we'll see. It's good for the fans. You got choices. You got options. You can flip back and forth. You can spend time with your family. You can watch sports, whatever you want to do on Christmas Day. All right, we got to move. We got to keep moving. LeBron, what's going on the
Quick
West
LeBron
Coast?
update. They're 20-10, 9-5 with LeBron, 11-5 without him. They just lost Austin Reeves for 4 weeks. He was averaging 26 a game. He was probably the third guy in the team after Luka and LeBron. It's going to be interesting with the trade deadline coming up in
Yeah,
another 6 weeks, I think it is. What the Lakers do. There is two top dogs in the West, Oklahoma City and San Antonio, who are kind of shoulders ahead of everybody else. The Lakers try to go add a piece, or
right.
right now they're fourth in the West, just a half a game ahead of fifth.
Yeah.
So they're in the playoff picture, but are they really in contention? So you'll kind of see if the Lakers try to make a move. Does LeBron get moved to make one more run? It's they're almost in no man's land. They're too good to trade away pieces, but maybe not good enough to go deep into the playoffs.
Yeah, and I think I could be wrong on this. I think LeBron's played in about half the games. I don't know how many minutes per game he's played, but we're coming into January, and by the end of January, you get your trade deadline coming up, and then the playoff run. So we'll watch this during the month of January. We'll see where this is heading, see how he's doing health wise, and look, I do agree with you. They are in no man's land, sitting where they are. I thought they'd be doing a little bit better, but they're not. So they got to make some decisions in about a month or so and see if LeBron will finish his career there or if he'll move on. We'll find out. We'll keep an eye on it. I think it's a great story to watch. It's an important one too. Also important, not to the end. Well, it is to the NBA. It's the WNBA.
Yeah.
So it's just, so what's going on with the WNBA? We know it's
Well,
their off
so
season.
so
It
there's
should be the
there's
regular season.
still
It's not.
yeah, they're still negotiating, but the WNBA union has authorized the players have authorized the union to strike if they feel necessary. I would imagine that's some kind of legal issue why they would do that. You got a lot of stuff going on in the WNBA. They're trying to do expansion. Our next story is they're gonna about the Connecticut Sun.
Yeah.
Um, there's more money than there's ever been, but is there still quite enough to satisfy everybody? With the new TV deal, but new expansion also requires that you got to share that revenue with the new team. So it's gonna. I think it's a really really interesting business story to me
Yeah.
because it's not like the NBA and Major League Baseball, whether there's just a ton of money. It's just how to split it, right? Like here, I think there is really conversations on. It's not paying the top players. It's how do you pay players 8 through 12 that are on the roster
Mhm.
but not contributing night after night, and what are they going to play for, right? What's their league minimum? So it's never what are you going to pay Caitlin Clark or the top players, but it's what do you play those 8 through 12 players on the roster
Sure.
to make it worth their while to be on the roster. So we'll
I don't.
see.
I don't think that the players authorizing a strike really did anything to enhance their ability to negotiate with the ownership. That's irrelevant to the owners. I mean, you know, they're already losing money so there's no the owners aren't losing any revenue from this. Really, they're not worried about that. The players could strike. I think what it shows from the players' standpoint is solidarity because there's been on the court play hasn't there's been a lot of animosity out there for good or for bad. But I think it shows solidarity amongst the players, and that's good for them. I do think what you talked about earlier in the year about consider moving the schedule to this time of year, and that may be we haven't heard that, but that may play out down the road. We don't know, but I don't think authorizing the strike really has any impact on the negotiations, but we'll see.
I think Charles Barkley said it a couple months ago that they didn't have a whole lot of leverage. I guess the NBA players went on strike. I can't remember the time when Charles Barkley was a player, and he said we sat home.
Yeah,
He goes, I don't think the WNBA players have as much leverage as they think they have.
no,
And the guys with the checkbooks have the leverage. because they know what they're willing to write a check for and what they're not willing to write a check for. So
Yeah. Well, let's hope they get something done and everyone moves forward because there's a lot of talent there and you hate to see it wasted. So
I agree.
all right, you touched on it. The Connecticut Sun, I guess they may be relocating.
So yeah, we talked about this for the first time back in podcast 16, back on September 9th, where the Connecticut Sun were at that time going to be sold to Boston, to a Boston ownership group.
Yeah.
The WNBA stepped in and said, not so fast. And now they're apparently trying to orchestrate a deal to the Houston Rockets ownership group and move the team to Houston. And what I find fascinating about moving it to Houston is Houston has a history in the WNBA. They were one of the original teams. They were called the Houston Comets. They won the first 4 NBA titles from 97 to 2000. And by 2008, they were disbanded because nobody went and nobody would buy them. So um, I don't know if it's good or bad, but right now, apparently the deal is deep along for them to go to Houston.
Well, it is a big market down there if they can get traction. So I'm sure that's what they're looking at. So we'll see if they get that. Get moving out of from that Connecticut location is the best no matter probably where they go. Whether it's unlikely Boston, they've already tried that and they got poo-pooed. But Houston, it's a big market, and they want those big markets. They need that for the revenue. So I could see that, even though they've had some false starts down there. So we'll see what happens.
I think the WNBA commissioner likes linking the WNBA team to the NBA team, have the same ownership, and not have kind of these outside owners that you're dealing with.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's good or bad for the business, but we'll see.
All right. Stay tuned. All right.
Stay tuned.
I'm going to shift gears a little bit. Something we've talked very little about all year. Major League Baseball. I don't think we've talked about it once or twice at all, or if at all. We talked about the Savannah Bananas and things like that, but we didn't get into Major League Baseball. So I got to read some of my notes because I can't commit this to memory. I just want to get into a big overview of where Major League Baseball is on spending and where it's going and things like that. As everybody knows, the LA Dodgers won the World Series. It was a great World Series, and but the Dodgers, I just want to go through their payroll. This was according to Sport Track, and I think it's updated. I think it was just a few days ago. Again, this is the disclaimer part of it, but their team payroll was $342 million. That's about on average $13 million per player. Obviously, that's not they have some guys that get incredible amounts of money. I just throw out the $13 million to keep it in perspective. I'm going to run through the top 5 or so. The New York Mets are second at $303 million. The Phillies are third at 301. Toronto, 280. The New York Yankees in fifth, also at 280. Compared to where I am up in Boston. Boston's eighth at 234 million, and Arizona is 10th at 201 million. To the bottom of the list, the Miami Marlins, 80 million. That's about 3 million per player, as opposed to the 13 million per player for the Dodgers. Now, there's no hard salary cap yet for Major League Baseball. Ken, this is more in your wheelhouse. They do have a soft cap, a luxury tax. Once you spend over $244 million, the ownership does have to pay a tax on amounts above that. Of course, the owners would love to have a hard cap on the salaries. At least most of them would.
It'll never happen.
But the Dodgers are in a great market. And let me just show you why. One of the reasons why the Dodgers can spend so much money and still be profitable is the big money, as everyone knows, comes in from TV revenue and that type of a thing. The way they split the money is the pool, the local revenue, the local TV money is pooled 48% of that. So 48% goes nationally, and the 52% stays with the local team. So the Dodgers have a big local revenue stream there. And if you own the broadcasting apparatus, you get it all. So they might have some ownership on some local broadcast rights. Now, obviously, the team split the national pool. I'll break it out for you. So each team gets about $60 million a year from the national TV money. And locally, it varies dramatically. It could be from 30 million to 110 million. That's because of that 48% thing. So overall, teams get about huge spread here, 90 million to 200 million. And just to remind you,
That's a lot of money.
Miami's uh, Miami's payroll is 80 million. The owner makes no bones about it. He's there to make money. So Miami's making a lot of money. But what I found interesting was that the way the way that the worked out is the the Dodgers' record last year. They won the World Series, great World Series, and they're going to be the favorite again this year. They were 93 and 69, so 93 wins, 69 losses last year with that big payroll. Miami with that smaller minimal payroll, they were 79 and 83. Not that bad. They were 20th out of 30 in the league, so they weren't pitiful. They were competitive, and yet they had minimally no payroll. So I thought that was kind of interesting. So but the Dodgers by far dominate. They're going to dominate again this year. I don't know if they're going to go for if they're trying to get the Japanese market or something. I don't know what their game plan is, but they have plenty of TV money. They can afford it. There's no hard cap for them to breach or tap out at. So they'll just continue on, and we'll see where it goes.
That's a lot of money. They spend a lot of money. I mean, they're showing the results at least, right? Like all those years the
Yeah.
Yankees have spent, and the
Yep.
Yankees have, gotten to the playoffs, but haven't been able to get over the hump. But it's a lot of money.
Yeah, so we haven't talked about baseball, so I just wanted to share that, and maybe when spring training comes up, we'll get into some of the rosters and what things are going on that. But I just wanted to end the year with some Major League Baseball talk on that. All right, Ken, the Olympics are coming up in February, Winter Olympics, and what are we going
Winter
on?
Olympics. Yep. So this is a fascinating story I find out, and haven't seen it a lot of places, but they're building a new hockey arena for the Olympics in Milan, outside Milan.
Yeah,
They are way behind in construction. They've already shortened the rink a little bit. They are hoping to finish the stadium by February 2nd. The first game is February 5th. There is no plan B if they don't get this finished. For some reason, they didn't break ground until 2023. I mean, this is a PR nightmare for the NHL. I mean, they have committed to this. They've cut their season for 3 weeks for this. And if the Olympic Committee can't deliver a stadium, what are you going to do? I mean, the NHL has said they're not going to put their players in an unsafe environment, and they shouldn't.
right.
But this has always been a great PR for the league to play in the Olympics, right? It gets watched around the world, and then you have the NHL playoffs 2 months later. And it would just be really poor luck on the NHL if this doesn't happen. They're shut down for 3 weeks. You're going to have everybody lose interest. So I hope they get the stadium done. I hope they play. It's like that World Cup of hockey. Everybody's watching. It's very competitive.
It's great hockey.
But what a nightmare. Like, could you imagine?
Not only is it,
They have 2,000 workers a day trying to finish this arena. Like,
it's crazy. I mean, it wasn't like they haven't been put on notice for probably 8 years or longer. But
at least, right?
yeah. Now international hockey, they typically play in a bigger rink than the NHL plays, a bigger rink. It's a little bit different brand of hockey than what the NHL is. This rink, though, even if they get it built, they say the size of the rink is going to be a little bit smaller than the regulation size of an NHL rink. And that's got another concern for the NHL. What they think, what happens is when you get these guys out there on a smaller surface, smaller rink, there's going to be more body contact, more collisions, more all of the above. And they don't want to get these guys hurt during this event. So again, typically international is a bigger rink, a little more space to move, pass, and all that. NHL is a little bit tighter, but this ring's going to even be a little bit smaller than NHL standards, I believe. And that's another concern. There's nothing you can do about it now. They said that's it. Just build it and see if we can get this thing off.
I think the NHL has the strongest commissioner, and he will do what he thinks is right. And whatever the PR is, it is. Like, if he thinks that the players aren't going to be safe,
Yeah.
and that there's a chance they're going to get hurt, he could pull the plug. and nobody's going to pressure him to do what he doesn't think is in the best interest of the players, because you got a long season ahead,
Yeah.
and to have your star players get hurt in this rink would be worse. So
Yeah.
I think he's the strongest commissioner out there, that he runs it and he will make the right decision.
Stay tuned. Let's hope they pull it off and there really aren't any, mishaps because of the rink. It's just because it's great hockey. It's just
It is
fantastic.
great hockey.
So let's hope they can get this done and get it done appropriately on time. Speaking of on time, Kansas City Chiefs. Apparently, they're going to be relocating. Their lease is up.
This is crazy. We
They're
talked about this back on podcast 7 on May 11th, new stadiums. They're moving from Missouri to Kansas.
Yeah.
They've got a deal that I've never heard of. They're getting $1.8 billion, plus they get to keep 100% of the revenue from the stadium. And the rent they pay to the state of Kansas goes to fix the stadium. That's a brand new stadium.
Right.
I mean, and the state of Kansas gets the bill.
State of Kansas gets the bill. And yeah, is it what, a 60-40 split on the construction cost, with the state picking up 60% of the county and the team picking up 40%?
And these budgets never come in on time. You're more familiar with construction than I am, but these things are going to go way over budget.
Yeah. And I'm sure Kansas City's capped their dollar amount. That's the budget. That's it. Any overage, it's 100% on the taxpayer.
Yep.
But I got to give a little bit of a backstory on some of this, because you get the Hunt family that owns the Kansas City Chiefs. So Lamar Hunt, he founded the Kansas City Chiefs back in 1959, 1960. They started in Dallas, okay? They were and they were playing in the Cotton Bowl with Cowboys play. So they couldn't get the fan base there, okay, because everyone was loyal to Dallas. So they moved the team from that Dallas venue to Kansas City 3 years later. But why did they move it? They moved it, yes, for the fan base and all that. But what did the mayor of Missouri offer? The mayor guaranteed 35,000 season tickets and stadium upgrades. So the story never changes. Here we are 60, 70 years later, and the government, same thing. The same family. Now Lamar passed away a few years ago, earlier in 2000s, but his family still owns the franchise, and they run it. The franchise is worth over $4 billion, and the estate or the family is worth over $24 billion. So money is not an issue, yet the story remains the same.
It's crazy. I mean, you got the Chicago Bears that are trying to get a new stadium out of Illinois and threatening to go to Indiana. They say, "Oh, we'll pay for the stadium. You just pay for the infrastructure and everything else, and we want property tax cuts." But we don't want to put any burden on the taxpayers. But we'll pay for the stadium. You pay for everything else. These deals, go to Indiana. You're still going to be on TV in Chicago. The Jets and Giants have been in New Jersey for, I don't know, 25 or 30 years. Nobody cares. Nobody notices. You should let these teams walk. Don't give them a dime. Let them go. You still can watch them on TV,
I know.
right? They're still going to be on in Kansas City, Missouri. The Chiefs are still going to be on from Kansas. Let Kansas pay for it.
Yeah, and just a couple of footnotes. It's not quite a done deal. The league has to sign off on this, and they don't even have the venue yet. They have some potential venues, okay, locations for these things. They haven't finalized anything yet, but the clock is running. The things are getting set in stone, but they're not quite there yet. Just another footnote to Lamar Hunt. In 1970, he was instrumental in merging the AFL and the NFL and the NFC together to form what we know as the NFL, which is why we have this Super Bowl now. So he was a great owner. And another footnote with him, he got his start. He didn't start on first base. He started with a leg up. His father did very well in the gas and oil business, which is fine. But Lamar was a sportsman. He had other franchises going to, so he took it to another whole level. He was a visionary. He worked hard. He did a lot of great things with it. But the formula was still very similar to what you see today, for good or for bad. Can you talk about it? We talk about it all the time off the air too. That's how it is. You know,
I've never seen Arrowhead Stadium empty, so I don't know. I've never seen Soldier Field empty. Like,
yeah.
and then Missouri's gonna have to pay to destroy Arrowhead, right? It's got no use
Oh
to
yeah,
them.
yeah,
Like, yeah,
right.
like you're leaving them high and dry. Like Washington left Maryland for the District of Columbia.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
All right, so we got we're gonna go a few more stories, but we're gonna run out of time. I just want to just preview this one. This was the University of Georgia is in a lawsuit with Damon Wilson II. Damon Wilson, he played for the University of Georgia for 2 years. He was defensive end. He went to the transfer portal. He transferred to Missouri. He played a year there. Now University of Georgia is suing him for $390,000. Apparently, that was the money they would have paid him if he stayed. He only got $30,000 of it, yet they're suing him for $390,000. So this is going to be a big lawsuit. Anyone involved in this stuff is watching it because one of the issues is that really a liquidated damage to 390 or is that a penalty? The courts won't enforce a penalty on a personal contract like that. The courts typically would award what the team would have had the contract been performed, but you don't know what they would have gotten. Would they won the championship because he stayed? No one knows. So liquidated damages are tough to assess. But Damon's also alleging that the University of Georgia is interfering with his right to go on to other schools because they're saying things that they owe him 1.2 million. So there's a lot going on there. To me, it comes down to that transfer portal thing. They got to figure that mess out. That thing is just like the Wicked Witch of the West. That thing's a mess. But this lawsuit's going to have a lot of tentacles to it. I'll watch it. I'll follow up on it. We just don't have time to get into all of it tonight on that. So,
Yeah, I mean, it's just a farce that these guys aren't considered professional athletes and that these colleges aren't considered for-profit entities. I mean,
yeah, they
the
clearly are.
money that's flowing through, and we'll discuss this in a future episode,
Yeah.
is astronomical. And that we're non-for-profit and these are student athletes. I mean, give us all a break. Like, let's just call it what it is. It's okay. You can call it
Yeah,
what it
right.
is. They're
Yeah, it's fine.
they're employees of a for sports business entity.
Yep.
Because the college students that are really going to classes are the ones stuck getting to pay for part of this, and
How does this athlete go to a school, right? Play. He's fine. He has every right to go to the portal. He goes to the portal. He transfers. Now he's being sued for money he never received. So it's like he just, like you said, he's a professional student athlete, whatever you want to call him. It's fine. What did he do wrong? I mean, so it's getting crazy out there. But we want to get back to we're gonna run out of time. We do want to get back to LIV Golf and Brooks Koepka. What's going on with Brooks?
So real quick, Brooks, we talked about this way back on podcast number 2 on March 25th.
Yeah.
He is leaving the LIV Tour a year early. We thought he may leave at the end of his 2026 contract. He's leaving now. He cites his family. He's got a 2-year-old son. He's exempted to the majors through 2028. It's, at some point he'll patch things up with the PGA Tour and be back on the PGA Tour. He's only 35.
Yeah.
And Bryson has come out and is apparently shocked by this. Bryson DeChambeau, he's the other big name to keep an eye on. He's not ready to commit to LIV long term. He's like, we'll see. So is this the beginning where we thought maybe it was the beginning of the end of the PGA Tour? Now is it the beginning of the end of the LIV Tour? Something to keep an eye on.
Yep.
Brooks will have to apply for reinstatement. He'll get it. At what price? When he can do it? But I don't think we can be surprised that Brooks. They have LIV has 9 tournaments around the world,
And they're
so
really
9 out of
literally
the
around
14
the world.
tournaments. Singapore, Australia, South Korea, China, like they're all over the place. So, but we'll see what happens.
All right, Ken, end of the year.
End of the year.
So before we look ahead, let's look back a little bit. We started doing this in the spring, and we didn't know what we were doing then. We don't know what we're doing now. But what have been part of some of your favorite stories, if any?
My favorite sports stories of the year, pure sports, was Rory winning the Masters and Paige Beckers and UConn winning the 12th title. She went through some tough years during COVID and being injured, and for her to finish her career with a win were probably the highlight of the year from a sports point of view. The sports story that we did a lot of research on is all the public money, whether you're a sports fan or not, between public stadium financing, between the story we did back on podcast 12, where you can amortize the purchase of a team. Like how much money taxpayers are really paying for all these sport entities and these sport leagues.
Right. Right. It's
You know,
going
the
to continue on.
donation to the Michigan State guy that's being funded by taxpayer dollars, you know, like
We're going to get into
it's
hedge
crazy.
funds buying into these teams, and we're going to get into that. We just don't have time tonight. And I agree with you. For me, also, Rory winning, that for me that was the biggest story in the sports world. On a personal note, there were two things I enjoyed it all, but there were two that I thoroughly enjoyed. I enjoyed the Major League Rugby tournament, and I got to see the finals. Just a fantastic venue day. I don't know anything about rugby. Great competition, great fan base. I thoroughly enjoyed that, and I also enjoyed my day at Seekonk Raceway Speedway. I had a great day down there with the pit crew and Steve, and it just to get that up close and personal experience was phenomenal. I intend to go back in the spring and do that. So I encourage anybody to get out there if you have a chance. Go to a local event, a sporting event. It's a lot of fun in person. So just take advantage of
Yeah.
it.
Look, we love sports, and if you really, I've gone to a lot of high school sports to watch over the years. Take your kids or your grandkids, go to a high school game, support them to maybe the local college. Sports is great. We've talked about the affordability. Look, if you can afford to go, it's great. If you can't afford, there's plenty of sports out there
Yeah.
that you can watch at a really high level and enjoy. And I mean, I grew up in Westchester County outside New York, and I would go to the high school games, basketball games in the county center. And it was fun. The crowds were great, and the play was great. We're out of time, so we're going to save our 2026 stories maybe to open up the next episode.
Sounds
But we
great.
want to thank everybody for following us, for supporting us. If you're looking for something New Year's Eve, we're free again for our subscribers. If you want to do a marathon, Tim, it's been great. I've enjoyed it.
Ken, it's been a lot of fun, and I think everybody, I think the production team again. Ken, it's been a blast all year. I'm looking forward to 2026. I hope everyone has a happy and healthy 2026, and we'll see you soon.
Yeah, and don't forget to follow us on X at Tim Ken Podcast. Thanks, everybody. Tim.
Happy New Year, everyone.